Here's a swing analysis of Brooks Koepka's golf swing. He is truly dominating the golf world right now, especially when it comes to the majors. And there's a few things that I really like that he does in his golf swing. So this swing is from a couple years ago, but nothing major has changed since then. So as we take a look at the right-hand side of the screen, as he starts his backswing, he mainly gets this club moving with his hands and his shoulders tilting and turning. So the hands work a little bit under the plane line there. And, even though the club gets a little bit under plane, what I really like is how much that club head stays out in front of his hand. So what that means is here's the shaft starts to get a little blurry, and here this isn't a high speed video, but the club head stays more in front of him, which the purple lines indicate there. As he continues up to the top of his swing, he continues to tilt and turn his shoulders, so his chest is pointing back towards us here. The left shoulder works more under his chin. His arms stay extended. He has very minimal hip turn, so he doesn't rotate his hips enough. He creates a lot of power by shifting his weight more into his right side, which we'll see here when we move over to the left side of the screen. So by having minimal hip turn, he creates a lot of rotation through his lower back, and by tilting and turning his shoulders. So he gets a little bit of a left elbow bend, and mainly that's just because of the lack of hip turn there. So it's not really needed because of how much power he can generate. So he swings a driver about 120 miles per hour, but he still maintains a nice straight, fairly straight left arm. That right elbow is directly underneath his right hand, and then he creates an angle between with his wrist there, his right wrist. So that allows him to set the club at the top, gives him a nice flat left wrist. When he starts his downswing, he starts to uncoil. So if you watch his knees are starting to work more to the left there. So the left knee starts to disappear because his hips are rotating. His left arm starts to move out away from his body. And what that allows him to do is shallow out the club. So that club starts to come more through the right bicep. And then gets a little blurry in here, but then the shaft gets right onto his forearm. And he just continues to rotate as that left arm moves more away from his chest there. And then he has that right elbow in nice and tight, and he's still maintaining that angle in his right wrist. So then all he has to do is just rotate as hard as he can through the shot, and that's what allows him to maintain his side bend through the golf ball and keeps his legs nice and close together, shifting the weight onto the front foot. As we look at the left-hand side of the screen, as I mentioned before, you can see he really, kind of loads up more into his right side here. So, he's more sitting down, loading up back here, which we'll see a lot in baseball players. His left hip is moved in a little bit from setup, but as he transitions and moves more towards the start of the downswing, we're going to see a weight shift in the lower body. So now he's more even inside those lines there. He's more kind of squatting, separating his legs, which gets his hips to start to rotate. So the left hip is starting to work more around him, and then that left shoulder is going to work more up into the air here, which allows him to maintain lag through the shot. And he just rotates as hard as he can as that left shoulder continues to move up and back. And by back, basically that means it's going more behind him, where the orange arrow is. And that's what gets him to rotate and turn through the shot. He keeps his arms extended through it. He maintains an angle between his right arm and the club shaft, so that shaft stays pointing down to the ground. And he just rotates and finishes all the way through the shot. So, just a tremendous athlete, generates a ton of power, but on top of it, he's also a very consistent ball striker, and that's what has made him #1 player in the world, and he's going to be around for many years to come.